is used here in today's gospel as an image of the time of being in communion with God, the messianic times, a time of joy, as all banquets are, a time of festivity, of happiness. But Jesus here in the parable speaks of those who put obstacles in the way of participating in this banquet of joy, the true heavenly banquet which God has in mind for us. It's strange that everything that God has created, He has created for our good, and that means for our service towards Him. And here in this parable we can see how the things that He has created, the things of our everyday life, have become obstacles for man's worship of God. In the parable He speaks how the banquet is ready, and He sends His servant to go out and to tell those invited to come, because the banquet is all ready. And so they start giving the excuses. The first says, I've just acquired some land. And now land, from the very beginning, is something essential in the life of man. God created the land, and in the land He created the garden, and there He created Adam and Eve, and He gave them free rein to take possession of the land. And Abraham had to leave his own father's land to go out to a land that the Lord had in mind for him. And Moses had to leave Egypt to go towards the promised land. Land is essential, that is what man needs to set up his life. But when that land is taken possession for oneself, where one is the own lord and master of that land, then that land, which represents one's life here in this world, is a distraction from our communion with God. And that's where man makes his first mistake, thinking that this life that he has in front of him is his own, and he is the Lord of it. And also in the second example, the man says, I've just acquired 5 oxen, please excuse me. So once you've got your own land, you need to sustain yourself, and in this respect, the oxen to work the land. Work is for the glory of God. From the very beginning, when God created man, Adam, He said, cultivate and guard the garden. From the very beginning, from creation, before the fall, work was an integral part of man's life. It is liturgy, work for God. Man has to work, and work is part of our relationship with God, to participate in His creative action. Man, in order to be a man as such as God has created him, he has to work. The problem is, who is he working for now? If our work becomes an obstacle to the fulfilling of our vocation in life, to be in communion with God and to fulfill our principal responsibilities in life, like a man who has to take care of his family, he has to work. But if his work takes him away and separates from him living for his family truly, then it's taken away from its principal objective. And especially if his work is getting in his way with his relationship with God, making him excuse himself to go into prayer, from doing the things that he should do in service of God, in service of his neighbour, his duties towards his family, and from going to work, going to church on Sundays. And you know, in the modern day society that we have, work is prevalent in all places, on Sundays as well. Is that for the glory of God? And in third place, the man makes the excuse, I've just got married. And that's it. I've just got married. Excuse me from attending the invitation. Being married, man was created in a relationship of marriage, Adam and Eve, and together they are the image of God. Marriage is something wanted, desired by God, and it is the image of God in this world. God created them in His own image and likeness. Man and woman, He created them. And he created them to procreate, to give life, to bring life into this world, and to dominate the world together as a family, his image in this world. But when that becomes perverted and so taken in such an egoistical way, so only for self and for pleasure, then it breaks from the true meaning for what God has created it for. And unfortunately, that is the way of things in the world today, no? Man is just living out his own life for his own pleasure, for his own self-seeking. So all of these things that are meant to be at the service of God and to help us to strengthen our relationship with him, in many ways are being served to separate man from God. We can pray now and then in this Mass for our own lives, that in everything that we have in our lives and at our hands, it may be for the service of God, and it may enable us to grow deeper in our relationship with him. Amen.